Welcome to the Lotus Map Editor tutorial. In this episode we're going to talk about the signal routes. If you are unfamiliar with the signal routes in general and in reality, this is basically the functionality for a railway to check if the track you're about to use is free, and also some other signals, other switches and so on aren't in a negotiation with you, that maybe another train can crash in your train. So these signal routes ensure that there might be no train crashes and so on. And of course we need this behavior in Lotus when talking about tram tracks and a signal route for a tram track. We obviously want to talk about the signals for a switch. So of course we know what it takes to place a switch signal or another signal. Both is the same way to do it. So I will skip it, and afterwards I want to show you what I placed and why I placed this. We want to add the signal route for this switch because it's a very small amount of signal routes we have to create. So this video won't be about 30 minutes or something like that. Let's start with the mount for the switch signal. As I said, I will skip this part. So we got our signal. The first object is for the track straight forward and the other is for the track to the right. I recently learned that there are several signals for tram cars around the world. So these are the German signs. I don't know if they're very standard in your country. You've got two types of switch signals. You got a white bar at the bottom of this triangle, ones with this bar and ones without this bar. And of course there are differences. After we place these scenery objects, we go to signal routes, and we will also open the rail tracks category. So at first I got some signal routes already, so I create a new signal routes group. And you have to create a unique name. I guess it's not that hard. So after creating this name, this window appears, and a key fact about this window is you can use the map editor while this window is open. This is about the signal route groups. So the idea behind this signal route group is that the whole map won't fit into one signal route group, so you have to split them up to get a better performance, because if you would put all signal routes into one group, the amount of conditions you have to check if some signal routes have a conflict with the other signal route is so high that the performance would be bad. So this is the reason why you put the signal routes into several groups. And of course you got once per crossing, you got one signal route group. Of course you got your name, and you got for checkboxes. The first checkbox is about the deactivation if the track is free again. So this is the basic thing, because the signal route won't conclude after you bypassed the whole signal route. And this is the standard option to deactivate the signal route. Next thing is deactivate on switch change. This is quite important because a signal route has a combination of switches to have it, or in case there are 2 or 3 switches behind each other. So if one of them isn't in the right position anymore, the signal route should be deactivated and you should not pass this signal. Next checkbox is about the activity of the signals, and if the signal only should show a sign if this signal route is active. This is quite common, so I guess mostly you got this checkbox ticked. And the last checkbox is about activate occupied route automatically. So if you can activate them manually or automatically, and this is the checkbox for the automatically. The next thing is we want to add the signal routes. There are obviously 2 signal routes, and when you click on add, you got you have to add a name for your signal root. It's quite important to get unique names within one signal root group. And yeah, afterwards, it doesn't matter. Also, you have to recognize them later on, and you have to know which signal root is for which track. So keep in mind when creating these names, you use them 3 to 4 quite a bit times, and yeah. So I name it something like this. Of course, you can use longer names. It's up to you. So the fact is, why we opened this rail tracks segment is we have to now select the signal routes or the tracks for the signal routes which should be occupied when activating this signal route. We start in front of the switch, and now we hold Shift and select several paths, something like this. So basically, when the tram is bypassing this rail track, the signal route will be deactivated, and this is the signal route for the right track. I somehow got some German words in here, but well, it's only for the name. So we click on Add in Map Editor, and we got an ID for the switch and for paths. So now we add another. You see there are some patterns when naming this. Of course, we do something like this, and now we can click on Add in Map Editor. So you see you got 2 paths in total and 2 switches. You can name the switches by right-clicking on the small triangle pointing towards the switch, and on Configure Switch, yeah, you can name it like, I don't know. Of course, you can toggle the switch, or you can lock the switch in this window, but we need the name. And if we go back here, you see you got the name of the switch within the signal routes, and that's all. Of course, when you select a signal route, you can remove the paths with this button, but I guess we don't need it now. And you can show the conflicts, which simply says that when one signal route of this signal route group is set and activated, the other can't be activated at the same time. Now we can add the selected object when selecting a signal. We can add them to the group. And of course, we got at the top of the signal, we got the sign for the straightforward direction, which is this. And for the other direction to the right, as you see, you only have to match the names you created. So this basically could work, and you got some fine-tuning. So when setting the signal route, you can use the trigger object, which is called when the tram is bypassing this trigger object. And of course we got, well, I don't know, something like this maybe. The trigger object has to be set in the direction you want to drive, which indicates these 2 arrows. We go to trigger properties, and by right-clicking on this trigger object, go to we set the signal route group. You've got these 3 possibilities. Maybe it's set to the left, maybe it's straight, maybe it's to the right. And we have, because it's the trigger for our signal route group, we got a switch straight for the straight signal route and to the right for the right signal group. And we click on OK. You can also deactivate them. And this is common when maybe like this for the straight signal route, you want to deactivate it when bypassing the switch, or when bypassing the whole next path. Instead, you want to deactivate the signal route when bypassing this trigger. So we go to trigger properties, we select the signal route group, and we set the reset signal route on vehicle contact, the straightforward signal group. So this should be it. And now the signal route work like a charm. So that's all for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something, and we'll see you next time. Bye.